Hey, Matt and Bradley, back with you. And this module, we're going to talk a little bit about mindset and the approach that you want to take into going into this course and going into your blog slash online business. And really, that's what it is. A lot of people see it just as a blog, but Matt, would you agree that this is actually an online business? And the more people treat it like an actual business, the more they would succeed. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, we felt that making this particular portion of the training was very, very important. We didn't want to just send you down the path of like, here's how you technically make a blog, because then people get hung up. They decide, they start watching the videos, they get overwhelmed, they go, this is a lot of tech stuff, where is this leading to? Where if you get your head right, you get your mind right before you start heading into the technical stuff, before you even pick a niche. If you get your head right in the right place, then you're gonna set yourself up for success and be much more likely to succeed. Um,
Yeah, I
I mean,
agree. And Matt, we've studied a lot of successful people, not in
mhm,
just our inner circle, but we're, avid readers and, there's a lot of, like people can teach you on these, online training programs on, hey, do this and you'll become successful. But what you really don't know is you can never compare yourself to anybody because you never know the path that they took to get to where they are today. And
mhm,
when Matt and I look at training programs, there's really the two paths, right? You can study the information that people are giving to you, go through the whole process and become successful with it, or the latter is you start studying the information. There's that big technical barrier, or you get a curveball or something, and then all of a sudden you're off path and you give up on it, or you quit, or try to go out and buy a different program. And I think Matt and I have come to the conclusion that there's a reason for that. And I think there's one underlying reason for that. And through our reading of various books, and one in particular we want to tell you about, we found out why that is and how to avoid that path where you're going to, hit the roadblocks and then hit the road. And whatever reason you're here, it could be, you want to make more. Most of us all want to make more money, but I think for Matt, it was something different. Accompanying, making the money. The money is, a byproduct of the success. But Matt, when you got started in blogging and online business from when you were working the job,
mhm.
what was it for you that attracted you into, the blog lifestyle, the online business lifestyle?
Well, I mean, like you were mentioning, there is a book that we both read back when we were first kind of getting started out, and this book I know really inspired me. Um, there's actually another book that just popped into my head. I'll mention it in a second. But there's really two books that inspired me. This is the main one though. I read Tim Ferriss's 4 Hour Work Week. Uh, I know you read this one too. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that did read it. But what really inspired me about this book was that he created a lifestyle business. He created a business where he had time freedom, location freedom, all that sort of stuff. So he can work anywhere in the world, whenever he wanted, as long as he had a laptop with him. And in some occasions, he didn't even need a laptop because he had other people kind of running the stuff for him, which we are going to dive into that later in the course, how you can have other people run this business for you. But the thing that I loved about this was that I can work anywhere. And since I started my blogging business, I've spent months in New Zealand and Ireland and places like that, just working from my laptop. And that book inspired me to go off and be an entrepreneur and run my own online business. And that is what I got from the book. That was what really got me excited about doing this stuff. The other book that I just thought about that I read early on that got me really excited was Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Um, but we'll get more into that book a little bit later. It's not as much for the mindset reason, and I know in this course we want to focus on mindset for today's module.
Matt, you said something, when you're talking about the 4 hour work week, a lot of people want the lifestyle, right? And they want, they want to have the things, they want to have the success, they want to have the relationships. And what I found profound in the 4 hour work week is Tim Ferriss says, why not have it now? Why not
Mhm.
achieve these things? And, like, design your life.
Right.
And the whole thing that we're getting at, the whole purpose about this video is that Matt and I believe if you anchor your why, your purpose, the reasons that you want to create the success, the reasons you want to create the freedom for your family, the money, the lifestyle, you want to have cars, you want to have a better house. If you anchor these reasons, or what we like to call the whys, you will be so much further by going down this path and so much more likely to succeed than when you hit a roadblock and you're like, I'm going to try something else, because you know your purpose and your reason. And in this book, The 4-Hour Workweek, it has something, I don't know how clear it's going to come in, but it's what's called the dream line. And what it does is it allows you to essentially list the things that you want, not just the things, like the material things, but the kind of like lifestyle. Like, I want to become more flexible, or I want to, I want to learn yoga, or, stuff like that. Or Matt, I want to learn how to grow an awesome beard. All the different things. So, you have the things that you want to have, the person that you want to be, and the things that you want to do and experience. And then also it allows a place for you to list down what it actually costs. What do you need to do and achieve in your business to achieve and realize those things? And how can you do them soon? How can you do them now while you're going through the process versus, hey, when I become successful, I'll do this. Matt, so when you read the book, Designing Your Lifestyle, what was the big thing that you wanted to have? Like, what was the number one thing when you designed your lifestyle for this business?
For me, it was all about both time freedom and location freedom. It wasn't as much about trying, in the beginning, it wasn't as much about trying to create as much money as possible for me. It was all about, okay, I hate my job. The job that I was in at the time, I hated it. I couldn't stand it. I wanted to get out of that job. I wanted to work the hours I wanted to work. I wanted to travel, and I wanted to be able to continue building my income and making sure I'm getting paid week in, week out, no matter where I was. Even if I didn't turn on a computer for a week, I wanted to make sure that I had something set up that was going to keep going for me.
Okay, let me pause you there for a second. So how did you go from, and I think this is so important for people to see, because they see you on the other end of this camera, Matt, this blogging guru expert, and you're talking about your job. So how did you go from working this job, and maybe you could tell us what it was, to deciding on what your blog was going to be? And I know I'm trying not to reveal any of your story, but then going on to creating the successful blog. Can you tell, like, just the short Cliff Notes version of your story on how you went from job to failure in your blog to successful blog?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was in a shutter company. I worked for a shutter company. It was actually the family business. My parents started the company back when I was in, I don't know, middle school, high school. I don't know. I was real young when they started it. And when I got into high school, I started working for the business, and I actually worked there for 13 years. And towards the end of that time frame, they decided to sell the business. The economy was getting rough, and they just decided it was time to unload the business. So they sold the business, but because by that point I was basically running the place, it was part of the sale that I would stay with the business and help run the business, right? So I stayed with the business, and the new guy that came in and took it over was this, rule by the sword kind of crack the whip type of boss. That he was just a jerk, he a really, really hard person to work for. I actually ended up later on, I ended up going to court, and a whole bunch of stuff happened because this guy was such a jerk and it did some very unethical, illegal things while he was running the business. But during this time, while I was still working for him, I decided, you know what? I've been in this shutter company for 13 years. I know everything there is to know about shutters. Everything. Like, anybody can ask me anything, and I know all the technical stuff of how they're built, what's, down to the minute, like, measurements of various parts of the shutters and stuff. So I decided maybe I'll start a blog on shutters. That sounds like a good idea.
Exciting.
It's something that I'm an expert in. It's something that I know very well. So I started this blog on shutters, ran it for, I don't know, 6 months or so, put some advertising on it, and it completely flopped. I mean, I think out of that entire 6 months, I had like 7 visitors total. So that was my first introduction into blogging,
Okay.
and it turned out that I did know a lot about shutters, but I had no passion for shutters. It wasn't an interesting topic. It wasn't something that was easy to continue writing about. It wasn't something that really excited me. It was a job. I was knowledgeable in it, but it wasn't a passion of mine.
So you're going down that path, right? There's the two paths, and you hit the roadblock. And when you hit the roadblock, your desire to do, and talk about shutters for, the majority of your time in your life was not greater than that first roadblock. Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. And my roadblock in particular was coming up with content all the time.
Okay.
I have this blog. It's about shutters. I can't write about shutters every other day, once a week. I couldn't write about shutters once a month.
Okay,
After I got a kind of initial set of content on there, I ran out of stuff to talk about.
Okay, so then you took a new path and you decided to go down a different route. And can you
Right.
tell us about that blog and did it or did it not become successful?
Yeah, well, at the time, I was a finance major in college. I really, really enjoyed finance. Not as much looking at spreadsheets and stuff, but I do enjoy that too. But I enjoyed like the personal finance side of things. I enjoyed, how to make your money grow for you, stock investing, real estate investing, tips, hacks on how to make your money grow for you and that kind of stuff. So I actually started a blog all about personal finance, making your money work for you, good ways to save money, and that sort of stuff. And I absolutely loved it at the time. I mean, I was reading tons of books on the topic. I was in school for the topic, and that was exciting stuff for me. So I started a blog on that, started reading all these other blogs on similar topics, and it was something that I was really excited about. So I was able to keep on moving forward with it and keep on growing it. And that blog did make money. That blog actually grew into something that was making me maybe $100 a month or so.
Okay.
So that blog, and that was just purely advertising. I put some ads in the sidebar of the blog and started making some money with that blog. And then around the similar time, I started seeing this blog work for me and start to make some money. I was real into fitness at the time as well. So I decided let's go off on a second blog and do this fitness blog as well. So I had this finance blog and this fitness blog, and I kind of ran them both at the same time, put some advertising on both of them, and managed to grow both of those in their respective niches. And it grew to the point where those were making $500 a month or so.
And that was
so. I mean, they were covering my car payments and
Yeah.
most of my expenses at the time.
So this was passive income, and you didn't even have I want to clarify something, because for some people, $500 is a lot. So there's some people watching this that all they want to do is create a $500 income stream, to just supplement, and they'll be completely
Absolutely.
content. And then there's other people that say, whoa, but that's not a six-figure business. But really, you weren't doing much. I mean, that was passive income. And if somebody were extremely passionate about a fitness business, they could have done things like, personal consulting or, selling, their own fitness products. You were just simply selling, affiliate products or distributing somebody else's products and making a cut, right?
No, I wasn't even that advanced. I was just putting Google AdSense on the sidebar, just getting the pay-per-click, 2 cents every time somebody clicked on one of the links. I mean, one thing about these first 2 blogs that I started was this was me just kind of learning. This was before we kind of discovered what is really profitable in this business, before we discovered what how to build bigger businesses out of blogs. This was me experimenting, and I managed to grow a $500 a month income from just doing these little experiments.
Okay, great. So it's a great story and a testament to what we're doing here, and something that people can relate to understand, like, hey, you didn't get it right the first time, and people on here may not get it right the first time. Most likely they won't. But if you stick with it and continue to do things like read the 4-Hour Work Week, another one of my favorites is The Secret. I mean, some people like Secret, some people don't, but I think it's great in determining your vision and what you want to create in your life, and kind of anchoring that down. and Think and Grow Rich. The whole purpose of this is to continue expanding your mind. The more you expand your mind, the more you can teach, the more you can share, the more you can grow personally. And this is not to be a whole personal development module, but I think people get into the expectation that, Matt, they have to be the expert, they have to know everything, and rather than kind of putting your hands up and letting the ego down and saying, I don't know anything, and trying to, one, learn, and two, go to your readers when you find your niche and ask them what they want, and ask them to, or if you have like an inner circle or something like that, ask people, what do they need help with? And that will help you kind of channel what you want to do in your life. And here's another good book, Power of Now, Letting Down the Ego. You don't have to know it all. I think, Matt, that was one of my biggest challenges, is that I felt like if I'm going to be myself, putting myself out there as this expert, that people are going to find out that I really am not as talented and good looking as they say I am, and in all reality, people don't want that fake, pretend, fake it till you make it type thing. They want to know what's real, relatable, and that's why some of the modules that we're going to come up, talking about in this whole course will give people options if they want to be, an expert, or if they want to use different types of models like interviewing people and so forth. So, Matt, so it's all about helping your readers, right? It's all about, not about you. It's all about helping the people that are coming to your blog. That's, being a giver. So now, that people kind of understand that, they're probably nodding their heads. The whole purpose of this course, we want to actually do a live example, right? We want to actually take people into, how we would go about starting from scratch and building a blog, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So the point of all this, Matt, this all this story and everything is what? What's the whole point of everything that we're saying here?
It's all about getting your mind right and figuring out your why. Why are you doing this? Why do you want to build an online business? Why do you want to build a blog, right? So coming back to this spreadsheet that you saw me, this outline here that you saw me talk about in the last video, is it something that you're passionate about, or are you doing it for money, or are you doing it for a cause? Because if it's not something you're passionate about, you're gonna have a hard time succeeding with it. If you're just doing it for the money, not because you're passionate about it, not because you're excited about it. I mean, you heard my story about the shutter company. I wasn't excited about shutters. I was doing that because I thought, I know a lot about shutters. Let me set up a site to try to make some money, right? But it wasn't something I was passionate about. It wasn't for a cause, So I struggled to do it, and eventually it fizzled out and never made a cent for me. So you need to figure out why you're doing this. You need to get your head in the right place for why you're doing this. And we're going to talk more about niche research in a little bit, but you need to make sure when you are deciding on your niche that it is something that you could get excited about. It doesn't have to actually be something that you're excited about right now. It could be something that you can get excited about, something that you want to learn more about. But we'll talk about that in niche research. We just want to make sure that you start to dial in the why. Why do you want this business? Is it because you want lifestyle freedom? Is it because you want time freedom? Is it because you want to grow your income? You need to start figuring out right now the reasons to get into this business.
Matt, and there's a great blog post that we were looking at before this call. You mind pulling that up on your screen, and we can just kind of read off a few of these things that this guy's saying here.
Yeah, we've actually pulled up a couple blog posts that we were discussing a little bit earlier.
And we'll link to these. We'll link to these in the bottom, below the video. But this is just so you can go through. We're not going to read through the whole thing, but this is a blog post by Rory Vaden. He says 20 whats to find your why. And Matt, do you want to just read off a couple of these, from the screen, just to get people's brains churning if they don't really know what they want to talk about or the purpose or whatever it is they want to create? Mm-hmm. Get their wheels turning.
Exactly. Like what places would you like to visit in the world? That was one thing that was big for me. I wanted to travel. I wanted to see more of the world. Before I quit my job, I'd never left the United States. I mean, this was 5 years ago. I'm 30 years old right now. As of 5 years ago, I'd never left the United States ever. within the last 5 years, I've seen 5 or 6 different countries. That was big for me. What places did I want to visit in the world? What type of job would you like to do each day? I mean, that's pretty big, right? If you're not into shutters, for example, you're not going to want to write about it constantly. So that's important. Let's see. Do you want to give back to the world? You know, that may be your goal with this thing. Is this something that you really want to make a difference with? What do you want to be known for? You know, this is something that Bradley and I have discussed quite a bit. You know, what do we want kind of our legacy to be once we stop running our businesses? You know, do we want to leave behind legacy? What do we want to be known for when we're done running this stuff, when we're not here anymore? You know, what things do you believe in most? What events would you like to go to? What are the most exciting things you'd like to try? You know, I'm not going to read all these off, but we'll link to this. It's definitely stuff that are good questions to ask when trying to figure out your why, because it will lead you down the right path of getting excited about what you're doing and making sure you're talking about the stuff you want to be talking about.
And Matt, these things, you know, our business is not all cupcakes and ding dongs. You know, we have some behind the scenes struggles that nobody sees, but at the end of the day, you know, for some of you, this is going to be a lonely business, and we really encourage you to read books like Think and Grow Rich, because you know, it teaches you things about how to create a mastermind and, you know, different, you know, in this online world, you know, create connections that you can talk to and, you know, share your story and, you know, give each other encouragement. But these are the things that you want to anchor back to, because when you come up with challenges in this course, you know, get excited, build your vision board, you know, do things that are going to get you excited. So when you come up with challenges, those, you're just going to power through them. And this is a great example, and I think you have another post there, Matt.
Yeah, what we got here? StevePavlina.com.
This is a great site if you just want to learn more about personal development and, you know, growing your head and your heart. StevePavlina.com. You know, we can link to this blog post, how to find your life's purpose in 20 minutes. But everything on his site is awesome, and we encourage you reading it, because it's not only that, it's a great example of a successful blog. This guy is got.
Can I read out this exercise just real quick, because I think this is pretty.
Please do.
So here's his exercise for how to discover your life's purpose in about 20 minutes. So step 1, take out a blank sheet of paper or open up a word processor where you can type. Right at the top, what is my true purpose in life? Step 3, write an answer, any answer that pops into your head. It doesn't have to be a complete sentence. A short phrase is fine. And then step 4, repeat step 3 until you write an answer that makes you cry. This is your purpose. So basically, what is your purpose in life? Keep on asking yourself over and over and over and over again until that answer that you write down really makes sense and really makes you go, wow, that's it. I found it.
It's awesome. You know, what you're saying there, Matt, and, you know, I think we've kind of, you know, gone far enough on the whole mindset thing, but it is so important. What you said is so important, because I think the biggest thing about blogging is not the fact that you're putting content out there in the world. I think the biggest thing about writing and blogging and journaling is the fact that you grow as a person when you get your thoughts on paper. And what you just said there is the same thing. It's profound, that the more that you pull out of your head and get on paper, the more you're going to grow personally and, you know, become successful in your ventures.
Absolutely. Now I'm just jumping back to this outline here. So you know why you're doing this. We've talked about getting rid of the ego. You need to realize that when you're creating a blog and something that's meant to help people, because you're not going to just create a blog. It's going to be deeper than that when we really explain this whole process. But you need to get rid of your ego. You need to understand that it's about them. It's about your readers. It's about your customers. It's not about you. So always be thinking about how you can help them and not how you can grow your income or grow your business. Always be putting the focus on the reader, the customer, the prospect, whatever you want to call it. Listen to the reader's needs, you know, kind of just following on from that last statement. And again, like we mentioned earlier, you need to treat this like a business. And in our next module, we're going to talk about getting organized, leveraging some technical things to really get organized. And that's going to dive deeper in how we treat these blogs like a business. but you need to go in with the mindset that this is a business. This isn't a hobby. This isn't something that you're just kind of screwing around with, and you're gonna use it to write little 140 word tweets, because it's not going to be like that. This is something that is going to be a business. You're going to impact other people's lives by what you're doing with this blog.
Yes.
Treat it like a business. Treat it like something that you want to learn how to grow. Treat it like something that's out there to help other people. And those are our kind of big takeaways with mindset. That's how we get our mind right. These are the things that we think about to make sure whenever we start a new business, our mind is in the right place with the business.
Yes, so go on Amazon and buy these books right now. Order them, get them in the mail.
I got one more too. One more book. I'm just going to throw it in real quick. I really enjoyed this book. It's called Life's Golden Ticket. It's by Brendan Burchard. I think it might be flipped. Is it mirrored on my screen?
It's all right. They can read backwards.
Okay. Anyway, Life's Golden Ticket. It's really good. It's basically about figuring out what's most important to you in your life.
Okay.
And
order the books. Get them in the mail. They'll be at your house in a couple days. And in the meantime, we're going to go head over to the next module. See you there.
all right, guys. See you in the next one.